last time the Dodgers won the World Series was 1988. Dodgers with a huge win yesterday, a must-have, and one that normally you'd take a look at. You think that this can change an entire series. They go tonight in Game 4 of the NLCS after putting up an 11 spot. It's interesting. That's not technically a crooked number, is it? Normally,
You're right.
Normally, you say put up a crooked number. It's a lot of runs. It's not really a crooked number, but it's a number. It's a whopping fine number, to use a Dr. Seuss phrase. And now it's now 2-1 in terms of the Braves' lead. They're starting a 22-year-old wet behind the ears in Bryce Wilson. It's his 8th career start tonight, and Clayton Kershaw making his 28th career postseason start. So we figured let's dial up somebody who I'm a fan of, not just from his days pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cleveland Indians and his stellar baseball career, but also his broadcasting career in Los Angeles. He and Joe Davis are an outstanding listen and watch here. He's Orel Hershiser. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Pleased to have you on. So, what do you take out of yesterday? Just one win, or this is the change of the tide here, the big Dodger blue wave, if you will, in this series, Orel?
I think when you take a step back to the beginning of the series when it was 0-0, everybody thought the Dodgers were the overwhelming favorite, but the Braves would be the best competition they had faced all year. When they lost Game 1, I felt like the series was even. When they lost Game 2, I thought they were down a game. And now, with the 2-1, totals, I think that the Dodgers are back to even almost because of what you see now, even in the starting pitching matchup today with Kershaw and against Wilson, who never had a playoff start, has only like 7 big league starts. So I think that this is a point where Clayton Kershaw steps up in a big game and continues to improve his postseason resume, and I think the Dodgers pull within are even after the night.
And so, what do you know or glean about his back? I mean, you must know quite a bit about his history of battling with it and how he has been able to bounce back from it previously. What do you think about right now, Orel?
Well, they've adjusted his workouts throughout as he's gotten a little older and the wear and tear because he was here at such a young age and pitched so many innings. So they've adjusted the workouts, and Clayton has been very open to adjusting, where in the past he's admitted that his workouts and his stubbornness of who he is and how he goes about his business and what his regimen is, he was very strict about that, from the time he got up in the morning to what he ate to when he worked out to what workouts he did in what order, everything like that. But this year and the past year, he's really adjusted to his body and to reality, really. And so I'm really confident. I think that I was very confident that once he got scratched, but he went out and did his workouts, he did his dry work, he did his long toss, he did a little side work. That told me that the back was good enough to pitch, but they weren't sure how deep into the game it would hold up. So to get 2 more days, I think that we're a lot more confident that he can go, at least 75 to 90 pitches. And the whole question mark coming into the outing is not going to be how the back is at the beginning. It's how it loosens up throughout the day.
And in terms of the Braves, do you think the Dodgers have solved their pitching that had been so dominant throughout this entire month of October up until the 9th inning of Game 2? Do you think this has been a solve?
I think that they have picked on the underbelly of the pitching, and I think the Braves are still in that position here with what they're starting today. So I'm not sure you could say that about Wright and Fried yet, and that will probably be part of the story going into Game 6 and 7 if we get there. And I think that the Dodgers, though, are starting to get hot and to get confident. So as a whole lineup, you can't turn to any guy in their lineup and say, oh, he's in a slump or he's not on target right now. When you look at the Braves lineup, you say, okay, when's Acuna going to get going? When's Ozuna going to get going? And you probably are going to say, as any kind of pitcher right now, don't let Freddie Freeman beat you. So I think the key right now is the Dodgers are hitting as a whole lineup and feel real confident because of yesterday. And the Braves are still looking for where are we going to fire on all cylinders. And it'll be interesting because I think the Dodgers lineup with confidence and swinging the bat well can hit almost any pitching, where the Braves might all of a sudden run into a buzzsaw where the Dodger pitching could be in line.
Orel Hershiser here on the Rich Eisen Show, and you've obviously been well-versed on how long it's been, for the Dodgers,
Yeah.
and as well as how good these teams have been in recent years. Is this the best version of the Dodgers? Do you think this is the best team, or do you think they have had a better team that just didn't get the breaks or couldn't get it done? What do you think?
No, I think this is the best team because you add Mookie Betts, and then David Price is gone, because he opted out. So let's just start with Betts. Adding Betts to any team makes you a better team than you were the year before, and I think that's amazing. The part that would make you think, well, this can't be this good a team because you lose all the starting pitching from David Price to Maeda to Rich Hill to Ryu, and you go, how can that be? But then you got Dustin May stepping in, Tony Gonsolin stepping in, Julio Urias stepping in. So I think that balances the books on the pitching, and then Betts puts you over the top. And the way this team has performed in the past in the playoffs, it's usually been the offense and a little bit of the pitching that has failed them. So what they've done offensively this year of not chasing, of hitting for power, of grinding out at bats, of taking their walks, they needed to continue that into the playoffs, and they really have, except for the first two games. Well, first game and three quarters, because the game one they got shut down by Fried, and then they get shut down for about 7 innings in game two. But now they're hitting like themselves. So I think this is the best team they've had going into the playoffs, not because we're just talking present tense.
Well, and then, I guess you have every right to be proud of the 1988 team, but I think here in the Dodgers fan base, they're kind of sick and tired of keeping on talking about it, right? They just want to get another championship. And it does seem like now's got to be the time. If it's not now, when the heck's it going to happen? Right now.
Yeah, I mean, check the ages out of all the people that are frustrated at every age group, right? It's the guy that, you won when I was 8 years old, and I've been waiting 32 years for it. You won when I was 20, and now I want to get one before I pass away, and my grandma and my grandfather are hanging on for dear life to get another Dodger win. So, yeah, there's a lot of frustration. It's an amazing organization, not only because, I'm here and I'm a spokesman for them, but just look at the pedigree of what they've done since the new ownership took over, since Andrew Friedman took over, the track record that even Ned Colletti had with the McCourts as they went through their trials and tribulations. But Ned put some really good pieces together in the minor leagues and some good trades and brought things together. And then Andrew and Stan Kasten and everybody there at the organization has finished it off with all these division titles and World Series appearances. But it's time to put it over the top, and the whole organization is definitely focused on that.
Orel Hershiser here on the Rich Eisen Show, and I'm sure you've told the story many times, but I don't know if you're aware, but today is, in fact, the anniversary, 32-year anniversary of the Gibson home run. It happened 32 years ago tonight against Dennis Eckersley. I don't know if you're aware that happy anniversary, I guess, in that respect.
To Gibby, for sure.
Yeah, well, certainly, obviously, you were a crucial member of that team. Walk me through your memories of that night when Gibson got ready and got out there, and where you were and all of that, Orel.
Well, it was quite a night, and it started out on a downer because Gibby was so hurt he didn't even come out for the announcements for the starting lineups, and then he was in the TV room where I watched most of the game because I wanted to scout the Oakland A's from the TV broadcast. So when we were on defense, I would go into the TV room and watch, and when we were on offense, I'd come out to the bench. That same in and out happened all the way until the very end when Gibby was upset that Vin Scully had announced as he panned the bench there at Dodger Stadium with the television cameras that Gibby would not be available to hit. But then that got Gibby so mad that he got Mitch Poole and some trainers to get some ice bags on those hamstrings and to start numbing him up, and then took a few swings down in the tunnel and was able to get his uniform on and able to say, I can hit. And the message came down from Mitch Poole, who was actually barked at, I think, from Tommy Lasorda, because what are you doing as a clubby down on the bench bothering me in the possible last inning of the World Series Game 1? But that message made it through, and Tommy, with his Hollywood background, said, keep him up the tunnel. I don't want anybody to know. So if all of a sudden Gibby would have appeared on the bench, Mr. Scully and the television cameras would, of course, have noticed it, and that would have given a message to Oakland, and that would have probably got to Tony La Russa, and maybe he would have managed the inning differently, or maybe Eckersley would have. But they never got to know that, and the inning continued, and Gibby came out of the dugout. It was like Robert Redford. It was unbelievable. I was sitting next to Mike Scioscia as I found out Gibby was going to hit, and told Soch, and so Gibby's going to hit. And he goes, Gibby can't walk. He can't hit. I go, well, he's up there, and he's got his hamstrings numbed, and he's taking a few swings, and he's going to figure out a stance that he's not going to fall over when he swings the bat. And then the rest of the story, everybody knows that Gibby, being such a great teammate and such a preparer, he read the whole scouting report that was delivered to us by Mel Didier and Mr. Stevens, and they gave it in person. Normally it was just given written and kind of handed to us at times, but they gave it actually in person. And Gibby was there and prepared and read the whole thing, and actually read to the very end of the scouting report, which would be the closer, and read about Eckersley and the backdoor curveball, backdoor slider to a left-handed batter if he gets to a 3-2 count. And we actually got to that count. And all we were hoping for was a single, just bloop one in the way he was swinging the bat. But he ended up catching that slider out front just at the perfect moment and put it into the right field bleachers.
I mean, Orel Hershiser, just the fact that you had a front row seat to see, all of it, not just from the home run, but the fact that you were in the TV room with him during the game, and you're saying Vin Scully pissed off Kirk Gibson so much that he's like, I'll show him, and that led to not only one of the greatest moments in World Series, if not Dodger history, but one of the greatest calls of the incredible career of who I just noticed referred to as, I should as well, Mr. Scully. That's what happened. Literally, he was like, I'll show him, I'll show everyone. That literally is how it started?
Stimulus. Yeah, it was the stimulus. It was the finger in the side or the finger in the eye. That pretty much started it. And, we might be the only world championship team to have been inspired by two television commentators, because then we got inspired by Bob Costas when Tommy heard that we were the worst lineup ever to take a field as a World Series team, and Costas was reporting on that. And Tommy turned up the TV and came in and inspired the whole locker room with that one. So, and Costas actually got thanked at the end when we won, because he came by and interrupted Tommy's post-game interview and said, "Hey, Tommy, anytime you need that." I remember in the footage. I remember in the footage, Costas walking by, and they interviewed Costas with Tommy in the post-game interview, even though he was one of the reporters.
And what did you think of when the ball was in the air and it was hit? Because again, you knew how hurt he was. You knew how hurt Gibson was. You saw everything unfold that night, and the fact that you were just hoping for a bloop and then maybe a blast later on, but the fact that he actually left the yard, what were you thinking as that ball was in flight, Orel Hershiser?
There's multiple memories, because the actual memory is the first thing you check is, okay, the crack of the bat, you go, that's good. The next thing you look at is the right fielder, which is Canseco, and you see he's going back. And then it's like, okay, please just be off the wall. Just fall in, hit outfield grass, do something, hit the warning track. And then when you see him kind of give up on the ball, and it's out, that's when the bench all comes out, and there's the footage of everybody kind of jumping through the camera lens, because everybody's jumping, but the cameraman is focused on the whole bench, so it's a long shot, and you see your head going in and out of the telecast, because you're jumping up and down as you're running towards home plate. And then when Gibby gets to home plate, finally after doing his pump fist, around second base, he's pushing us all off of him. He's happy, but he's pushing us all off of him, because the weight of us pounding on his shoulders and congratulating him and hitting him on the head is going into his legs, and it's killing his legs. He's like, get off of me, get off of me. So, and then he's trying to run around to kind of celebrate a little bit, but I think the adrenaline in the moment kind of made his legs feel better.
And then I guess just for those of a certain age who might be younger and are not at all as familiar with this moment as clearly you are, or I am, or others, the man who he hit it off of, in terms of as unhittable a pitcher as you've ever seen, Eckersley at that time was maybe the most unhittable pitcher I've ever seen. I mean, right? I mean, he was dealing is not the word for it.
Pinpoint artist with unbelievable movement with his two-seam fastball to the corner, low and away to a lefty. Unbelievable hit both sides of the plate. Unbelievable slider. Yes, he was like unhittable.
I mean, it wasn't just anybody we hit it off of. It really was truly unbelievable. Before I let you go, Orel, I very rarely bring up somebody's Wikipedia because it's very rarely accurate. But is it true? Are you a professional poker player? That's what it says on your Wikipedia page.
I was for a few years, yeah, until Black Friday when it became illegal. Yeah, I was sponsored by Poker Stars for about 5 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's a fun sport. It's very interesting now. As I get older, I'm 62, and all the young bucks that are so good, they've actually almost solved the game. So it's a very hard sport now. I'm probably backing off a lot, but it was a lot of fun when I took it up and studied it.
Right. So I mean, how does it equate to pitching? I guess any of the
kind of talking to professional poker players, reading books, watching videos was one thing. But really understanding their brain and then applying it to my baseball, my pitching outline. So what I mean by that is first inning, want to keep the ball down, want to establish something. That's kind of like the same thing in poker when you sit down at a table. You got to figure out what the lineup's doing, how they're reacting to you and your pitches. What side of the field do I want the out? Am I on natural grass or artificial turf? Same thing in poker. It's like, okay, am I in the small blind? Am I in the big blind? What did I do with this guy last time I had a flush draw? Can I push him around with a fastball up and in, or do I need to actually play this straight and not knock him down with a large bet? So there's a lot there of what I thought about before I threw the pitch to the same thing in poker of what I'm going to do before I decide to bet or pass, or what I want to do, muck the hand, or do I want to play this guy?
Well,
the other three.
I ask because I'm fascinated. Also, it is my nightly poker night tonight. I don't have a Cy Young Award on my resume, but I think you might have just given me a couple tips. I'll be very honest with you.
A little sit and go you play, or do you guys actually play cash game?
No, it's a game. It's a game. It's a friendly game. It's a friendly game. It's a friendly game. But if somebody leaves a little bit,
call me off the air and I'll give you lessons. Maybe $50 a half hour.
I will take it, Orel. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Again, I meant what I said. I really love listening to your broadcast, and let's make this a regular thing. If not, maybe another time this month. I appreciate it.
All right, you take care, pal.
You got it. That's Orel Hershiser, everybody. That's Orel Hershiser. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.